Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another episode with me, Sheree Bachman. I am happy to have you back and to keep continuing to talk on this topic this season of microcosmic healing. It's really about understanding energy and the amazing power we have already within every single one of us to heal, and not only ourselves, but the ripple effect that it gives, that manifests outwards when we focus on ourselves for the best ways possible, whether it is our self-love, whether it is understanding our triggers, whether it's moving past, again, those trauma or forgiveness and all of those beautiful pieces. So this episode is going to be a little bit different, but also it's along the lines of what we've been talking about is understanding energy, understanding our own energy, understanding the energy outside of us, and that we are all made of the same things as the cosmos. And of course, that we can feel and understand the energy of everything around us, living or inanimate, if I said that correctly, non-living things. Because to talk about the topic today, which is about mediumship and healing, it's this other part of myself that I've been wanting to explain and have people understand on another level. But to fully comprehend or to get that meaning of what this is, or this, what they say, ability. I don't like that term or word for it. And I will get to that here in a little bit of the reason why, because you have to understand energy in general. You have to understand that we are made of it and that we are surrounded by it and that we are affected by so much more, and understanding frequencies and vibrations and dimensions, because this is all that build up and it's all included in this next piece. So let's go to the beginning and understanding what mediumship means. Because a medium is someone who is able to communicate and connect with energy that has passed. And what I mean by that is actually people or living beings that once lived and now have passed beyond this physical experience, where they have moved on into the other realm, other dimensions, right? However you want to put it, to heaven, or whatever your belief is, you can put that frame of reference to. It's just the meaning behind it, not the word. But this is connecting with our loved ones, but this is not just that. It doesn't just stop with that. It's being able to connect with even more evolved and higher beings. These are those that would vibrate at a higher vibration or frequency. And we're talking about, angels or guides or ascended masters. And when I talk about ascended masters, this could be a whole other episode if we ever got into that. But we are talking about those, like, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Jesus, those who have lived on earth that had tremendous impact, that were these beautiful enlightened beings or evolved beings while they were here. So, and again, this is all beyond that third dimension, is connecting with, uh, again, those energies beyond that. And it is difficult. And what's interesting here is when I start talking about this mediumship, and when I tell people, it's fun. Um, when I tell people about what I do, and especially in histories past, because before this rebrand, I was known as About Healing Medium. And so when I would tell people about what I did, I think there was a huge period of time, even before that, where I was afraid, or I didn't tell people what I did because of the response I would get. I was still hesitant, and maybe it's truly about not fully accepting, I guess, who I was, or this beautiful balance about it. But I would get really, like, 2 reactions is usually the common. I have 2 different reactions I would get out of people when I tell them, I'm a medium. I can connect with those who have passed." Usually it's always deer, kinda like in the headlights. It's just it's like the shock moment, and they're just like, "Whoa." And usually you can tell that some people are really afraid that I'm I don't know, reading everything about them or reading their mind, or that I'm really the scary person who does these weird seances. I don't wanna say weird, because if you do that, I don't wanna I'm not judgmental, but they have this version in their mind of what that means, and where it's scary or it's bad, or we've seen enough horror movies or the Hollywood version of what this would mean. And or I get the other response. It's usually those who get so excited, they're like, "Oh," and they want all the information and they're reading about it. So it's always interesting. That one's not as common as usually the ones who are in the shock and go silent and trying to rethink how they think of me. So it's very interesting with those aspects. But I want to explain so much more about this because I think this is something that I wanted to explain because so many people question. For a lot of people in my life and a lot of relationships, when I meet people, I wait a certain period of time before I tell them this part of me. There are people I can tell that this is probably not their cup of tea, who may have different experiences, or whether it's the stereotypes of it or the stigma that surrounds it, that they carry on with that. And so I wait. And the reason why is because I want people to get to know me. And because for a lot of people, if you have this image or this previous knowledge or these beliefs about this type of work, without really fully understanding it, usually you put a block on someone. It's like, oh, well, that's someone I don't want to be around. And so I let people get to know me first, because when they get to know me first, they already have this connection with me that I am this kind person who doesn't hold judgments. These are usually how my friends would describe me. Um, while eccentric and big and loud and lots of energy, absolutely, a lot of positive energy. And I have some friends that, of course, this is what they love best about me, but I have some that they know their boundaries in the time of day where they can be around me. I respect that. um, but the point of it is, in recent time, I have a friend, a current very good friend, who told me that if I had told her what I did before she got to know me, she said, "I would have stopped talking to you. I know that I would have." I know I would have felt a lot of judgment around it, and I would have been frightened of it, and we would not be friends today. And she said that this relationship was just one of those that has helped her evolve and understand that it's also okay to have, different beliefs, and that we can love and respect one another. And sometimes when we learn about other people beyond these titles or their beliefs and really see the core of someone, we come to a bigger acceptance. And I thought it was beautiful because I have struggled a long time with this duality of myself. I find it as like this duality, right? So I have this professional background where, I mean, I have a degree in human services. I've worked in social work. I have been very professional. Let's put it that way, right? I come from a religious background, and I have been in part of many religions growing up. That is a whole story for another episode also. Uh, but I too have always had experiences though from childhood, so many experiences that it was, I didn't know what to believe because I knew what I felt and what I saw and what I was experiencing, that it seemed that nobody else was. And and I was really frightened by it because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand what I was seeing, or seeing people or these images and feeling, where again, nobody seemed to be seeing the same things that I was. And I shut it down. I was so frightened over it. And not just about what I was experiencing, but also because nobody else saw it. Therefore, I'm thinking I'm the crazy one, or that I'm not normal. And it just shut down. But when I shut that down, there was another wave of it's like this suppression, suppressed a part of myself, and I was never fully myself again. until I went through my awakening and it all kind of like burst back out again tenfold, which was a very frightening experience. I talk a lot about this in another episode. I believe it was in season one. It's Have You Met Sheree? And so if you want to hear more about that and how I came to be and do what I do, it's all in that episode. So I don't want to go backwards in that. So when I came to this acceptance part of myself and getting into the understanding of what this means, right? This I call it this capacity, not ability, because I went through a phase where I was wondering what makes me so special? What makes me so special to be a person who is able to connect with, our departed loved ones beyond, and that it's not my imagination. And here's what I've learned, and I am fast tracking and skipping a lot of information here, and it's fine, but I want to fit some very important information into this episode. The thing is, I am very I think I'm different from a lot of other mediums in the aspect, and not all of them, just a lot of them, because there is a common phrase out there where they say all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. I don't believe that at all. I am a firm believer that every single person on this earth is fully capable of doing this, of connecting and communicating with their loved ones. I am not talking about the big scary things. That is a choice of who you connect to. I myself have put the intention and who I connect with. I have very firm boundaries within this work. I only connect with higher vibrating beings. All the intention I put on my communications with my clients, with myself, with my family, or anybody else, it is always first and foremost out of love and healing for that person I'm connecting to or for. That's it. There is nothing scary in what I do. Everything that I connect to, everything that I am doing is truly something at higher vibration. It is calming. It is warming. And every time I connect and I am done with a session, whether it is for myself or for a client, I feel so much release. I feel so much calm. It is that almost that experience after a big good workout. And I don't know whether it's the endorphins or whatever it is. It's that kind of feeling. It's like this beautiful high of positive feeling of love. That's what it feels like. And it's amazing. So just know that you actually have control over all of this. It's learning that you have control. We have more control actually here on in our living in the physical plane than they do. So it was one thing for me to comprehend and learn out of all of that fear of having these experiences of all these beings coming in and just feeling overwhelmed, right? I was overwhelmed and feeling like I was surrounded all the time, all this energy coming at me, and I didn't know how to sort it out, and I didn't know how to manage it. But it was a long journey and lesson of understanding how to build boundaries, just like in life. And once I set a boundary, absolutely, that other side has to follow it. There's something there, like we can manipulate that energy in a way where we set those blocks. And if you have those, it is respected, but you have to believe in it too. That is building those walls. And again, I digress. And maybe I will create a workshop one day and helping those understand this. But right now, let's keep going and talking about this journey and what mediumship can do and how it is connected to healing, or at least for me, it is. Because each of us that choose to do this work, and whether you have understand this capability for yourself and you're developing it, you doesn't mean that you have to use it in the manner that I do and see clients and all of those things. Absolutely not. You choose what you do with it. There are so many people out there that I know that have these beautiful heightened, capacity with these. Again, it keeps coming back to ability. I just don't like using that word because it makes you It just yes, you were special, okay? I don't want you to think that you're not special if you're able to do it because you developed something. Again, it's the same thing that if you are, a sports star, a sports player, a doctor, anybody else, you are still doing the work to build on and practicing to perfect your craft. And that's what it's about, no matter what profession you're in. And this is just taking a part of us that we are all able to, because underneath it all, again, we are here as souls having a human experience, not the other way around. We are at our core all made of the same energy of light, of love. And that is our core. And when we can connect with that and connect with other people, because that is how we communicate on the other side. We do not have physical bodies. We do not have a voice. We don't have a mouth. We don't have these physical senses that we use to communicate on the other side. It is through that intuition. It's that feeling, those gut instincts. It's that knowing. It is those clairs that we talk about. That is how we communicate on the other side. There are no secrets. We just know. And it's acceptance because, again, we are all growing and evolving. And which is interesting to come back to those clairs, which I will talk about in a minute if you're wondering what that is. I'll break it down for you, I promise, here in just a minute. But making this choice to connect and communicate with your loved ones, that is natural. It is within your natural being of being able to do so. You have to put the intention on it. You have to decide and invite them in because again, it's all about these rules and boundaries. A lot of the time we're waiting for something magnificent to happen, but you have to ask for it because it's one of these universal laws is that they cannot interfere unless you've asked. And so when you put up your boundaries, which is beautiful, it's the same thing. You have to, it's this energetic law. And you can put this boundary here and say, you are not allowed to frighten me, or you're not allowed to do this. And you can absolutely put any of that on there. It is then about trusting. Because I'm going to tell you the communication that you do with your loved ones and beyond, if you're communicating and trying to connect with energy, it is subtle. And that's the practice. And that is why a lot of people do not believe or have a hard time in trusting themselves in working with energy because it's so subtle. It is very subtle and it takes a lot of practice. And guess what? And that's another reason why a lot of people don't go further in it in developing it because you have to be wrong a lot before you can get it right. Because you have to understand the difference of what it feels like when you don't get it. So you understand the very subtle energy of understanding when you do. So you have to work past that fear of being wrong or failure because it's not. That's part of the practice. I have had a hard time, a very hard time for a very long period of time in itself of merging and being okay and merging again that professional side of myself with all of those ethics and wanting to be taken seriously and doing this work to truly help people on another level and merging this other piece, right? The spiritual piece that I'm a medium, that I'm a very sensitive empath, that I am able to connect with energy and see through people. I don't want to say people in that aspect because I never read without permission. It's part of my ethics. I do not. And maybe I have in the past in the very beginning, but I learned very quickly you don't walk up to people and just read them without their permission. Number one, there are many people that are not ready to hear. They have to be ready. And just because you can see it and you know it, it doesn't mean that it has to be shared. Sometimes it comes through and you have to let the other person meet you halfway by saying, yes, I'm open and willing to hear. So be careful with that for anybody out there who is just learning how to do this. Be mindful because the one thing now that I have really worked on this acceptance of blending both parts of myself, again, that professional side and this very spiritual side and putting these together is I want to change the stereotype or the stigma that surrounds this work. Because even still, I even have friends who know what I do, or even loved ones who know me at the core, and they are still unsure or wanting to talk about what I do. It's so interesting because I have some that absolutely do not believe in this mediumship part, that this is not maybe a good thing, and that comes with different background and beliefs, right? Respected. And it's okay that not everybody believes it. That's okay. However, it is interesting though that they will always say, "But I believe in you." Because they know my heart's in the right place and they know my professional background and they believe in my professional background. But that's what's interesting is that that's what society really that's an exception. That's what we accept. That is that that comfort zone that people understand and we try to stick to. And I think that's why I've had, or no, I don't think I know it's why I've had such a hard time in fully accepting and standing out. Yes, I have a podcast. I stand out on platforms and I talk about what I do. But underneath it, there is still a hesitation in having these conversations because of again, those comments that I hear or other people I love saying whether that's evil or they don't believe in it, and that's okay. Because again, I have a full understanding. We all have our own truths and our own beliefs. I find it I respect it all. And I'm not here to change anybody's mind, but I am here to give information for those who are open and trying to learn and understand maybe more possibilities that are out there because we are limitless. What we want to do and what we want to create, that is all limitless. It's stepping outside of that and seeing maybe or possibly collecting all of these pieces that sound true to you. So if you're still here listening to me and what I'm saying, you're finding a little bit of truth there that's connected to you. You are feeding in this saying, oh, I like what she's saying. This feels right. Then trust that. That is your gut. That is your intuition telling you you're wanting more information to form your own opinions or to learn more, or whether you were trying to stand firmer in what you were trying to do and understanding, oh, wait, I can do this in any way that I feel so guided to do so. You don't have to fit in a box because you have claimed yourself to be a medium or whether you're doing things in a professional platform. It doesn't matter if you were a professional clown. It is the whole point that you are deciding to do it your own version and putting your own stamp on it. I want to help clear a path and put a more positive or understanding that there is a beautiful, very loving side to this mediumship. I know other mediums that they are incredible and they are able to connect to beings that I'm not able to connect to. We're all different because it's all about the frequency and vibration that each of us individually can get to is what we can connect to and sustain. And that's a practice. And that is why the more that we are healing and we are evolving, it's the higher of the frequency we can connect to. Which is also another way. So if you were someone that is just interested in this and have been looking for mediums and again have that kind of very cautious, like, ooh, but I don't want to be played. I don't want someone to Google me, or I don't want to feel like, a fool because you're choosing someone because there's so many in history's past that have claim to have this ability and have misused it. But it's the same thing again with any profession out there. Unfortunately, because this one is so hard to prove, it's a feeling and what we're trying to put out there because we're never 100% accurate. Not one of us. There is not one medium out there that is 100% accurate. We are translating. We are translating energy. It is like another language, but it is such subtle energy that we have to pay attention. And it is how we practice and bring that in. We, the medium, the conduit, just the communicator, we have no idea what the information is that's coming in. We are trying to translate it for our client to understand it because it's their message, not ours. And so that is why you might hear us try to connect it with our own personal experiences or be very blunt, or it could be this, could be that. It's because literally we're trying to understand this information coming in and give it to you. And we each understand it in very different ways. It's the clairs, which is what I wanted to explain to you, the clairs. So some of you have may heard of um, clairvoyance, right? So clairvoyance is when we are able to see in our mind's eye. This is, think of your imagination. It's exactly like that. It's where you can see pictures, right? And so whether you see full scenes like a movie, I am able to connect this way. So clairvoyance is a very big part of how I communicate. I can see like movies or scenes playing in my mind's eye. Sometimes they're memories or they're breaking down an old home that someone used to live in. I can see people, I can see it in color. It is, some people just see flashes or symbols. It's in such a variety of factors of how each person will see these individually. But that's what clairvoyance is. It's seeing within your mind's eye. So it's not seeing with the physical eye what's happening right out in front of them, it's within the mind. So we get these pictures moving. That's easier for the other side energetically to put those images in. Just know for anyone out there who is trying to connect with loved ones by physically seeing or physically hearing and having those physical manifestations, please understand that that takes so much energy for your loved ones to manifest once they have crossed over, okay? Once they have left the physical plane, once they have crossed over to manifest in a physical manner. If they have, I think that's beautiful and wonderful. I just want you to know that it takes tremendous amount of energy for them to do that. So usually you will get it all subtly by the clairs. So the another very common one is clairaudience. So that is hearing from your, that's hearing not with your physical ear, but inside. So again, you might hear someone's voice as if you were thinking of a memory of someone's voice. That's how that's going to come in. There is clairsentience. Clairsentience is feeling. So this is a big one for me. I feel emotions of others. It's part of my empath. So I'm a very sensitive empath, but I can also feel the emotions of those who have crossed over too. A lot of them will bring that through in messages just to prove a point of how they felt or trying to communicate how they feel about their loved ones or at that time. Um, we can also feel things physically in that aspect. I know I do too. I might, during a session, have a loved one come through and I will feel like, for instance, one time I felt one of my legs go completely numb. And I said that out loud. Come to find out later, the sitter, my client, had told me that their loved one actually didn't have a leg. And so that came through. I will feel maybe anxiety or pressure in the chest, or sometimes I'll get big stinging pains right in parts of my head. Come to find out they had brain tumors or something along those lines. I never know what it means. I just know that I'm feeling certain sensations and I communicate that. And usually it's just validation for, again, the clients. Um, There's also claircognizance. This is about a knowing. This is just a knowing, and you have no idea how you know. It's like this idea popped in your head, and you're like, I just know. This is what's coming through. So, those are a lot of the common clairs. There's actually a lot of them out there. There's a lot more coming down even to other senses where people can taste things or smell things. There's lots of different, but I just wanted to talk about at least the four main ones or the most common ones that we use, but these are all parts of it. So we are taking all of these pieces and how we receive information and again, trying to communicate it. And it's very subtle, especially when we are receiving messages with words. So I don't normally get the words. Mine is all through emotion. So then I have to be very aware of my own emotions and how they feel so that I can communicate it to my client in full expressions. So that's what I mean. It's a lot of work and it's understanding these. And you, again, are all capable. It's just going down to the level of really understanding yourself, understanding these subtleties, and trusting yourself that you're not making it up. That's a huge, huge piece, huge piece. So, for any of those of you out there that have been curious of finding a medium that would work for you because you just have this curiosity or your intuition is guiding you to do so, I just wanted to give you this little list of finding the right one that's for you. The thing is that even though that I am a medium too, and not all my sessions are with mediumship, sometimes I'm just doing the intuitive part because they're both just as powerful. It just depends on what the client is looking for. But I am not meant for everybody. I for anybody who is seeking a medium, I may not be your medium. It's who you are drawn to. You have to trust your own intuition and who you are meant to work with or who you are drawn to bring you the right information or the right messages. Because again, we all connect with different energy and in different manners. We all communicate our information differently. And so you want to find the one that is going to give it to you clearer. And I just want to give you this little list of what to look for. Because, yes, number one is trusting your own intuition. Always, always, always trust yourself above anybody else. And I mean this with the information that you receive. Number one, yes, I'm talking about mediumship, but honestly, this is life in general. When someone is giving you information or giving you messages, or even you are learning something out of a book, or you are hearing something, it's a belief or whatever it is, trust what feels right for you, period. Leave what doesn't. Take what feels right and leave what doesn't. Because no matter what, for anybody who is giving you information, myself 100% included, because every single person does, we communicate through our own experiences, our own judgments, our own biases. All of that comes out in how we communicate or how we receive messages. So it is up to you or for anybody else to weed through that and pull the information that feels right for you and leave the rest. And that is really important during a session when you are going through someone who does this other type of work, this spiritual work, because so many are also putting their judgments in it. So just beware of that. So I work on a level of ethics. Again, I have merged that from my professional background with working with a very sensitive clientele. Again, I worked in social services. I learned how to communicate with other professionals and with clients who are going through very hard circumstances. Work with one that you feel has these ethics. Because there are some out there that and some of you may want those that you don't get sugar-coated messages, and that's fine too. Find one then that won't sugarcoat it, but I will soften everything and bring it through, but I also will bring through everything that comes through because it is meant to the client. But, however, you should not be receiving negative information. All I know is that if you are looking for healing in any sense, and if you are going to someone for healing, then nothing negative should be coming through. Because when we are connecting on that love frequency, that love and healing, everything should be encouraging. It should be guiding you to growth and not pulling you backwards or putting fear in in you in any way, shape, or form. Just know and beware of that. I also want to just put this out there too is be aware of fortune telling and future telling. I personally do not do that uh, because I absolutely 100% believe that our future is fluid. It is forever changing. It will forever change because it all depends on the choices you are making right now in the present. So if you've lived one way and you have chose to do healing or make new choices, it absolutely changes the future and the trickle effect and the domino effect that goes with it. Because with new choices you are making, other people are witnessing and it causes new choices from other people. And it's like this infinite amount of ripples that go out. So it absolutely can change the future. So if you've ever seen butterfly effect, it's exactly that. So I do not. So just please know that if you are getting that information, because sometimes absolutely it's fun. We want to know, right? But just know that you can change it. So if you are hearing something of a future that you don't want, you absolutely have the power to change it by your choices that you make now. So, again, by sharing today, what I'm hoping is by further understanding, or if you had no idea, you're still learning about what this means to have, again, to work on this capability or even to be curious about it. Just know it's, again, it's the intention that you're putting into it and the curiosity that goes about it. And, as the person that does this work, it's their intention. Absolutely. It's understanding their purpose and what they're in to do with it, what they want to do with it. I personally use mediumship as a form of healing. It is a deeper level of understanding how to heal. My clients, when they come in and we do, again, it's that intuitive piece, but getting to communicate with a loved one, bringing through a message of healing and getting them to understand that they love them and that how they acted during life does not represent who they are on the other side. Because please understand that let me tell you, my understanding and what I have heard and what has been communicated is, again, once we leave this life and once we cross over, we leave the ego behind. So if your loved one was very judgmental in life or was even violent or angry or you had uh, had a hard relationship, just know that if they come through or you were ever open to having this, it is very different. It is very different because once they cross over, they take full accountability and responsibility. They see the harm and they see what their choices or actions or inactions did to whether it is you, loved ones, to society, to the whole picture. So they get the full perspective once they cross over. And so, if you ever were drawn in communicating, again, find the right person who you feel drawn to bring those messages to you. Because again, if you're able to get on that level and vibration, what can come through can be life changing. And not just life changing, I have seen it over and over again where it has broken these family or these generational cords from repeating and understanding that things were not their fault and that it was okay to let go, and whether it was forgiveness or just to move on in life. It is extremely powerful. So, yes, mediumship is such a beautiful, deep layer of healing for those who are looking for it and need it in another form. So, as a very beautiful, special, I say it's a treat. It's something that I guess I've been hesitant to do for a very long time because I guess there's multiple levels here. I think maybe it was about that whole acceptance and putting it out there. I will be next episode, you will see a full session with a client who has been brave enough to air their session out into the world. And just to see what it looks like to have a session, at least by me. This is what mine looks like. So stay tuned to listen in or watch if you're on YouTube into next week's episode. It will be very beautiful and um, maybe healing and enlightening. So until next time, you beautiful souls, thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. Send me a comment, an email, anything that you're feeling, and share. If you're liking these episodes, please share. Send them out into the world so those who are looking for something like this, that they can find it. So thank you all. Have a fantastic week.